Here is this is called The Stranger, and the date is on here, and it's always about, when dealing with situations, it's about who, what, when, where, and why. And with this situation, it's visual, and the visual things relate to situations, and it may not be key, it may not be told for what it is just because it's a picture or words. But here is one picture of this it says the right to hate speech. Now there's things I'm not going to go into detail with that one. I don't even have the paper, but
approaching Olive and 6.
This is around the same time. This one, Seattle Weekly, and the date is May 3rd, just as the other one. So what I'm stating is there's a picture, there's a newspaper with a picture, and they don't do these two, Seattle Weekly and The Stranger, anymore. They don't do them, back to back, two of them, one Seattle Weekly and one Stranger every week. They don't do that anymore. But when they were doing it, when Seattle Weekly would come out, it would relate with The Stranger on the hidden reality, what they're really talking about. Now, just to go into detail, to show proof about reality, just show proof. Now remember, I was talking about films. This says found it. This is featured in the movie, this is a picture featured in the movie Men in Black. So they have truth in these newspapers, and you have to kind of sometimes decode it. They can be talking about something but not go into what they're really talking about. You have to decode it. And just to show proof that that's true is we have this New Yorker paper, and here's a detective. People are sitting on a bus. He's reading the newspaper, and it says, "Oh, sweet." I'm not gonna say that word because that's false based and relates to Roman or Greek god called Zeus. And I don't like having those false deities in my mouth. Them wicked deities in my mouth come out of my mouth. But yeah, you see it has words here and he's reading it. So he's a detective, but they're talking, but they're explaining things in the newspaper, but you have to decode this stuff to really, you have to be experienced to know what they're really, talking about. So this is just to go show proof that there's codes, there's hidden messages in newspapers. Now, I'm reading the Seattle Weekly. I'm going to read a section in there to go into detail of a situation. And I'm not going to speak on it to give detail of the situation, but through the images of, or front pictures and words, they relate to the situation we have in Stranger. It said the right to hate speech, and we have this picture. It may not be an exact explanation of what they're saying, but when people see things, they pick up off of things, or they react to situations that happen before they look at it. You might look at a dog and say, "Oh, that looks like my neighbor's dog or my old dog," So that's just to give an example.
Stop requested.
So I'm going to read this outside and let that
Approaching
be it
Howell
for this.
And Gale.
Alright, this is the section I want to read. Now, I'll explain the detail, what I need to I guess, going to. So I'm reading, it says, last May, after writing a feature about a climate change protest, climate change. Now there's keywords and stuff like that. So they might not be talking about climate change, but and they may not be explaining the situation the right way. So I'm gonna, or of the actual happening of the situation. So I'm gonna go read it again. Last May, after writing a feature about climate change about a climate change protest, and I don't know how to say that word, it must be a city, I drove up with a friend and our two bikes to cover the event as a reporter. We spent the night east of Bellingham and the next morning drove to a park and ride near Chucknut Drive. That's questionable. That undulating stretch of forested bluff so beloved by cyclists. Got a neighbor walking by, so beloved by, let's see, cyclists. We left the car and biked the 30 bucolic miles, I don't know how to say that word, miles to March Point, where the Shell and Tesoro oil refineries stood glittering. And that's another thing I want to go make bold, or state as bold, because that's another key detail of who, what, having to do with who, what, when, where, and why. One of those things. And it says and oil refinery stood, and several thousand people had gathered to march, kayak, and camp on oil train tracks to demand action on climate change. Now I'm going to skip the little throw off that they put in here. But when you've got the tight schedule, the single occupancy combustion engine comes in very handy. Demonstrators filled March Point with speeches, salmon-shaped windsocks, and signs declaring, now that's questionable too, and signs declaring climate justice. Now, are they really talking about climate justice? You never heard the saying, people protested with salmon-shaped windsocks. Okay, now we got signs, but we never really had people doing such a that thing like that. Salmon-shaped windsocks. That's weird. Why would you bring that to a protest? Anywho, and signs declaring climate justice. I'm gonna go into that whole salmon thing a little later. Climate justice and 100% renewables. I don't know what that is. Counter protesters in a motorboat cycle March Point with signs of their own, including "I love cheap gas." They might not even be talking about gas. And the pointed, or however they're so-called wording this, which I don't have that understanding right now, but another key detail says, and the pointed, if you drove here, you're a hypocrite. And it has in parentheses SIK, and they put that in parentheses. So now that whole situation is questionable on behalf of what they're really talking about. So those that are being foolish is like, and know about what I'm referring to, and those that are not foolish that know what I'm referring to, clearly it shows that there's something going on that they knew about, and for some reason they put this in here. pretty much that's what I wanted to share, the main detail. But they go a lot in a huff. They go in a lot of detail, huff and puff, with their own say-sos of situation. But where I have here show proof of where I underlined and lined out stuff to really see what they were really, market where they were talking about something, and that's where key detail is, but it's not really there, so you have to see it for something else. So the whole oil train track and salmon-shaped windsocks. Now there's a protest going on or something like that, and I'll tell you, flip off everything. Anywho, you got salmon-shaped windsocks. Okay, you catch fish with things that look like socks. They're nets, basically nets, right? So these are the people protesting. They're against whatever that's going on. That's the reason why they're down there. So why is it that they have salmon-shaped windsocks? And that's a rare. Are they going to catch something, or is it like they're? Because it says here, it says demonstrators filled March Point with speeches, salmon-shaped windsocks, and signs declaring climate justice. Now, are they really talking about climate justice? If they got some weird thing going on where that strange detail of salmon-shaped windsocks is right there, and they're protesting and they want to talk, they're saying and demanding climate change justice. Maybe there's something else is on maybe something else is going on besides climate justice if they got salmon-shaped windsocks. So that's something to take in thought, because it could be something, you got climate change, right? That's manipulation of the weather also, in another form of detail, controlling of the weather. So they got technology to cause people to go crazy. So, and if you haven't went through that, or just still with a plug, somewhat in your neck, kind of, no form of disrespect or down talking, but it basically, if you can't relate, it's just not really gonna, some people just gonna think you're crazy for talking about certain things, but experience is experience, as long as you can back it up. So that movie that I showed is not all about what it seems to be. So just to show proof, characteristics and visual detail, characteristics, words that relate to what the movie was about is visually in front of you. If you take your mind out of the realm of entertainment-based information and go into the realm of hidden-based information, hidden message-based information, and you surely see that it ain't what it seemed to be.